Good morning or evening or afternoon or whatever to all you lovely viewers. Tour de Force here. It is gear review day, and for this episode I'm going to be introducing you all to my pedal collection. It's not a very big collection, but it does come with quite a bit of variety, and I'm interested in going through memory lane since I stopped using pedals ever since I got something very special, which I'll be showing later. Let's just fire up the old power rig and get to work on some of these pedals. Starting off small, yet still very important, is the Polytune Tuner by TC Electronic. Having a good tuner at your side is so important, especially while on stage. Being able to completely cut out signal and get a nice, quick, and reliable way to tune your instrument is a real lifesaver. It works for pretty much any instrument that can put signal into it through a 1/4-inch cable. Really an all-around great tuner to have on a pedal board. 10 out of 10. Probably the cheapest pedal in my relatively small collection, the Kako Mini Compressor comes in at a whopping $26 on Amazon. In terms of sound, it's definitely not the best compressor I've heard. However, for the price, it is certainly up there when it comes to the quality to price ratio. It's also very small, so it doesn't take too much space on a pedal board. It can also be set as just a simple booster pedal to get a little more oomph out of your tone for solos or louder sections. 7 out of 10. I've always been interested in the Phase 90 phaser pedal. It's just so minimalistic and simple to use. You only get one knob and all it does is change the speed of the modulation. That's it. Having only one knob makes this pedal feel so natural to use for a nice phaser sound. There's nothing much more to talk about it. It's just a great phaser all around. Just don't expect any crazy amount of versatility. 8 out of 10. Octave pedals. I'll never understand them. They're very niche and only fit in certain genres like funk. I also don't see myself using octave effects very often in my own music. I guess this one gives some versatility with 3 knobs it has for growl, girth, and the dry signal, as well as this what I believe to be mid-boost toggle on the top left that is kinda hard to press. I kinda regret buying this one honestly. 5 out of 10. Distortion is a very make or break sort of effect. It needs to be just the right settings, or you end up with something too harsh, prone to feedback, and just all around unpleasant. I believe this MXR pedal does a good enough job at bass distortion, although I wouldn't say it's the best tone I've heard even with the versatility it has. Despite that, I would recommend this pedal for any metal bassists who just want to get a little bit more dirt in the mix. 7 out of 10. This is actually my first ever pedal I got. I bought this one from Guitar Center, and it still gives me memories even when I'm just looking at it. I was so excited to get this pedal, and honestly it still holds up in terms of sound. Unlike the octave pedal, I can actually see myself using this one to get a nice and unique sound that punches through the mix. It also comes with a whopping 5 knobs to play with to dial in the perfect tone. 9 out of 10, although I might be a little biased because it's my first. Chorus is a very interesting effect to put on a bass. It's not as niche as an octave pedal, but it does fit a specific role and can damage a mix if dialed in incorrectly. This is probably the most finicky effect to get right, but when it works, it works. It also has a lot of knobs and buttons that I don't quite understand, but seems to give enough versatility. 6.5 out of 10. Honestly, I haven't used this one much. I only remember using it maybe 2 to 3 times at most, despite being pretty hyped to get it back in the day. After hearing the tonal capabilities of it, I wonder why exactly I didn't like it more. It has a pretty bad sound. 7.5 out of 10. holy grail and perhaps the most iconic bass pedal, the Sansamp is a complete masterpiece of a bass DI. Tons of tonal capabilities, as well as lots of fun little knobs and buttons to play with. This thing will give you hours of fun just tweaking your bass tone to be perfect. It's also just visually very pleasing. The only real issue I have with it is the space it can take up on a pedal board, but it might just be worth the trouble to get this beast on it. 10 out of 10. Does this really count? It's a VST plugin used for giving any sort of instrument like guitar or bass tons of different amps and pedal effects. VST plugins are the absolute gods of versatility, being able to swap tones at an instant and give near perfect results when dialed in correctly. While it can feel like cheating, it sure as hell beats having to plug in and mic an amp in an untreated room. I can't really give this one a score. Unfair out of 10. Finally, we are on to the big boy of the collection. My favorite pedal, comprising of many different pedals on the inside. The sheer amount of tonal options multi-effects pedals like this one has is utterly insane, and can easily run you days or weeks trying to come up with the perfect tone. There's only one real complaint I have with this specific pedal, and that's that the distortion and fuzz sounds are kind of cheap and pretty bad. They have this sort of digital sound. However, it more than makes up for that with all of its other effects, customizable options, inputs and outputs, and built-in expression pedal. Also, it doesn't require a really big power supply like for the other pedals. It runs on its own power cable that is pretty neat and easy to transport. I've always hated having to set up power supplies or using 9-volt batteries to power standalone pedals, so that's a really nice feature. This is probably the best thing I have in my collection of pedals, and I love bringing it to any performance I do. This thing is always on stage with me, somewhere, ready to use. 10 out of 10. It's just a DI box for splitting guitar signal to an amp and to the interface for a clean recording and a dirty recording. I haven't even used this a single time yet. 11 out of 10. So yeah, that's all my pedals in my collection, and it was a blast going through all of them again. What did you guys think? Loved it? Hated it? Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, as it'll help me find motivation to creating more content. That's all for today, everyone. Tour de Force out.